Groundwater statistics of India. So groundwater is a very important resource, and understanding of the statistics related to groundwater is very important from general curiosity as well as exam point of view. So groundwater is extracted from almost all the countries of the world. But a very important point to note here is the largest extractor of groundwater across the globe is India. So groundwater withdrawal worldwide, high to low. So I have taken top 3 countries which extract the groundwater to the highest level. So topmost country is India. Second is USA. Third one is China. So India, it annually extracts 251 billion cubic meters. Okay, which comes to approximately 26% of the extraction of the global extraction. USA 111 BCM, China 89 BCM. So you can ignore the values of USA and China, just focus on India. So India, it is 251 billion cubic meter, highest. Second is USA, followed by China. Top 3 countries sufficient. Okay, sufficient. From this we understand that India is the largest extractor of groundwater among all the nations of the world. So the largest extractor of groundwater in the world is India, a very important point to note. So India accounts for close to 26% of the groundwater extraction globally. So what does it mean? Globally, all the nations together, if they extract 100 liters of water annually, then among these 100 liters, 26 liters will be extracted by India alone. So very important point to note. So we have to associate 26% with India. So we have to memorize this statistics, that is 26% with respect to India as well. Okay, very important point to note. Now coming to consumption of groundwater in India. So groundwater can be used for various purposes. It can be used for domestic purposes, it can be used for irrigation, it can be used for industrial purposes and all. So here coming to groundwater consumption in India. So groundwater is consumed highest by agriculture sector, a very important point to note. Okay, so close to 87% of the groundwater in India is utilized by the agriculture sector, a very important point. Followed by agriculture sector, we have domestic use, that is in the house to wash the utensils for drinking purpose and all. So it constitutes domestic use, so it is 11%. And finally industrial use is 2%. So this is in the decreasing order. So highest is agricultural sector, close to 87%. So this statistics has to be retained. We have to memorize this number as well. 87%, followed by domestic use 11%, and finally industrial use 2%. Here we can ignore these absolute numbers like 209 BCM, 27 BCM, and 4 BCM. Here these numbers, this percentage is very important. From this we understand that India is also the world's biggest user of groundwater for farming. So already we learned that India is the largest groundwater extractor in the globe. Apart from that, we also understand that India is the country which uses the groundwater the highest for irrigation purpose. So both this information are very important from both general curiosity as well as exam point of view. Now coming to the contribution of groundwater in India, so nearly 62% in irrigation. Okay. Now when it comes to irrigation, groundwater is not the only source. We have some other sources as well. For example, the source may be lake, the source may be river, or rain. So there are other sources. So among all these sources, the share of groundwater is 62%. A very important point to note. Okay. So more than 50% of the India's agriculture is supported by irrigation through groundwater. A very important point. So that is 62%. Next, coming to rural water supply. Now in rural area, water is supplied through different means. It may be groundwater, it may be supplied through river, lakes, etc. So close to 85% of the rural water supply in India, it happens through groundwater. Groundwater is the important source. Now coming to urban water supply. So close to 50% of the urban water supply is met through groundwater. Okay, groundwater. So here we also need to know the relative understanding. For example, so groundwater supply relatively it is more in urban area or rural area. So we should be able to connect that it is more in rural area and relatively less in urban area. Now out of curiosity, here, which is the state in India which uses the groundwater highest for irrigation purposes? The state which uses the groundwater highest for industries. The state which uses the groundwater highest for domestic purpose. So out of curiosity I have made. So here Punjab is the state which uses the groundwater highest for irrigation purposes. A very important point to note. Followed by Punjab, it is Tamil Nadu. Okay, Tamil Nadu. Now coming to groundwater extraction for industrial purposes. So the highest water is used by Himachal Pradesh, followed by Uttarakhand. Now state with groundwater extraction for domestic uses. So the highest state which uses the groundwater for domestic uses is Mizoram. Again, a very important point to note. Next, groundwater resources of India at a glance. Okay. So again, this point is very important. Now, total annual groundwater recharge. So groundwater also gets recharged. Now similar to how our battery of our mobile phones, cell phones, we recharge. When after usage, the battery gets drained and we recharge it. Similarly, when we extract the water from the ground, when we extract groundwater, it also gets recharged through various means. For example, it may be through rain, or it may be through lakes, or it may be through rivers. Okay, so there are various sources which are involved in recharging of the groundwater. So in that fashion, in India totally, annually, how much groundwater recharge takes place? So we should be able to at least recall approximate value, that is 437 billion cubic meters. So 0.6 just ignore. What you can do is you can remember it as 430 or 440. Approximately 430 billion cubic meters of what groundwater is recharged annually. A very important point to note. So among the recharged groundwater, 430 billion cubic meter. So what is the annual extractable groundwater resource? So all the water that gets recharged, every complete water we cannot extract. There is only some amount which we can extract. So among the 437 billion cubic meter which has been recharged, how much actually we can extract? We can extract around 398 or approximately 400 billion cubic meter. Even though the recharge is 438, approximately 437 or 438, but the extractable amount is only 398 billion cubic meters. Again, this is also important. Now, annual groundwater extraction. So this is what we can extract. Okay, this is what maximum we can extract. But presently, how much we are extracting? We are extracting around 239 billion cubic meter. Okay, billion cubic meter. So what does it mean? So what is the stage of groundwater extraction? It is 60%. So what is the 60%? We can extract to a maximum extent of 398 billion cubic meter, but we are extracting only 239 billion cubic meter. It means 239 is what percentage of 398? It is 60%. Okay, 60%. It means we are in the safe zone. Why we are in the safe zone? Because we are extracting lesser amount of water compared to the overall available water. Okay, overall available water and overall rechargeable water. Okay, rechargeable water. But this picture is for overall India. Okay, overall India. Now this picture sometimes it changes from area to area. There are certain areas which are overexploited. Okay, which are overexploited. So what is that overexploitation? What is safe? So we shall have a discussion next. Okay, next. So categorization of assessment units. So in India, the whole of the India has been divided into various units to assess the level of groundwater extraction. So here totally 7,089 units have been assessed. So across India, 789 different areas have been taken and they have been assessed. So from exam point of view, we need not focus on the 7,089 for 7,780 and all. So just ignore this column. Okay, ignore this column. What is important here is among the assessed area, how much area is safe, how much is critical, how much is semi-critical, and how much is overexploited. So first we need to understand the meaning of these terms. So what do we understand by overexploited? So we have already discussed that groundwater, it gets recharged. Now the amount of recharge that happens, if the extraction is more than the recharge, then we call it as exploitation. An example. So let us assume every year 100 liters of water it gets recharged. Okay, 100 liters of water it gets recharged underground. But we extract more than 100 liters. Let us assume 110 liters or 120 liters. So then that is a case of overexploitation. Okay, overexploitation. It means there are certain units in India or there are certain areas in India where there is overexploitation. That is, the annual extraction of groundwater is more than the annual recharge. Okay, more than annual recharge. So how many such areas are there? So 11% of the 11% of the area in India, they are overexploited. A very important point to note. You have to even what memorize this number 11% as well. Very important value. Okay, very important value. Next, coming to critical. So what do we understand by critical? Critical means annual rechargeable water. It is 100 liters. So annually 100 liters of water it gets recharged underground. But here we extract close to 90 to 100 liters. Okay, it means whatever the rate of recharge is there, around 100 liters. So close to that, close to 90 to 100 liters we again extract. It means we are very close to exploitation. We are very close to exploitation. So such areas where there is 90 to 100% of extraction of water compared to the recharge, such areas we call it as critical areas. Critical areas. So among the various units that have been assessed, the critical areas are 3%. Okay, 3%. So again, this value also we have to retain. We have to remember. Now next, coming to semi-critical. Semi-critical means compared to the recharge, here 70 to 90% of the water is being extracted. Okay, 70 to 90% of the water is being extracted. So here among the semi-critical, critical and overexploited, the greatest threat is from the overexploited area. Next greatest threatened area is what? Critical area, and after that comes semi-critical area. It means among the annual water that is being recharged, let us assume 100 liters. So 70 to 90 liters are being extracted. Okay, extracted. So such units, they constitute close to 11%. Okay, close to 11%. And 73% of the assessed units are safe. Safe means less than 70% of extraction. Okay. So if you continue to extract less than 70% in the long term, it will not cause any kind of harm to the resources, and it will be sustainable. Okay, it will be sustainable. So such safe areas are 73%. Okay, 73%. So the last column, recharge worthy area. Okay, this column you can just ignore it, not important. So here what is important here is how much is safe. 73% is safe. Next, how much is semi-critical? 11%. How much is critical? 3%. How much is overexploited? 11%. And how much saline water we have? 2%. 2%. So all these information we have to retain from exam point of view. So we need to know what is safe, what is semi-critical, what is critical, and what is overexploited. Also at the same time we need to know about the statistics related to them. That is 73, 11, 3, 11 and 2%. So all this information is very important. Very important. Now coming to the overexploited areas. So as I mentioned, when the rate of extraction is more than the recharge, then we call it as overexploitation. So in India we have many overexploited areas, but predominantly three areas stand out. One is north and northwestern part of the country. The second one is the western part of the country, and the third one is southern part of the peninsular India. But the reasons for the overexploitation of these different regions are different. Okay, so let us look into those reasons. Okay, reasons. When it comes to north and northwestern part of the country, so here there is a overexploitation. That is, annual extraction is more than the annual recharge. Okay, annual recharge. So here, especially in Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, and Western Uttar Pradesh. So what is the reason here? Even though replenishable resources are abundant, so replenishable resources in the sense, it means we have rivers over there for recharge. There is a sufficient rainfall. So in spite of all that, there is a overexploitation. So why this is so? Because there have been indiscriminate withdrawals of groundwater leading to overexploitation. It means you are extracting more than the annual recharge. Okay, so it means exploitation is to the peak. So because of that, so these areas have become overexploited. Okay, overexploited. Now coming to the western part of the country, for example, Rajasthan and Gujarat. So here there is a groundwater scarcity. But what is the reason here? It is not because of indiscriminate extraction. It is because of the arid climate. Groundwater recharge itself is limited. So coming to Rajasthan and Gujarat, so rainfall is very less compared to Punjab, Uttar Pradesh and all. So hence the sources of recharge themselves are very less. Because of that, the recharge is what relatively less. So leading to the stress on the resources. Leading to the stress on the groundwater resources. Okay, resources. Now coming to the southern part of peninsular India, that is Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Tamil Nadu. So here the reason is different. So here, even though there are sufficient sources to recharge like rivers and rainfall, etc., but here the inherent aquifer properties. So inside the earth there are aquifers, so which have the potential, which have the capacity to hold water. But here the aquifers which are present in these states, so they do not have the capacity to hold what good amount of water. So this is the reason why there is a stress on the water resources in these areas. Okay, in these areas. So this was a brief about the groundwater statistics in India. So we saw about the various statistics, and we also saw the reasons for over exploitation in different parts of the country. Okay, so this groundwater statistics part is a very important topic from exam point of view.